The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army. And now, the Benjamin Dixon Show, ladies and gentlemen, only possible with listener support. Go to thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army. And now, the Benjamin.
Well, welcome to the Benjamin Dixon Show. I am your host, Benjamin Dixon. There was some lovely feedback right there, but hey, that's what happens sometimes. And I love my introduction so much. I hate that I hate whenever something like that happens. But welcome to the Benjamin Dixon Show. It is December 23rd, Wednesday night, the night before Christmas Eve, the night before I don't have to do any work for anybody. Tomorrow, I could just take the day and chill and enjoy some time with my family. I don't care what you celebrate or if you don't celebrate anything. I think we can all celebrate not having to work tomorrow. And if you have to work tomorrow, I apologize. If you have to work tomorrow, I'm sorry. Maybe I shouldn't revel in the fact that I don't have to work tomorrow. But I'm very excited about that. But so welcome to the Benjamin Dixon Show, ladies and gentlemen. So glad that you could join us. So a few housekeeping things, guys. Apparently there was a bug out from Spreaker last night that caused the audio to stop, the entire system to crash. We've gotten some updates. I think everything's going to be fine. I'm going to do my best to check over there and make sure that nothing happens. But if it does, I want you to feel free to send me, if it's happening live, obviously, send me a tweet at the BPD show, and I'll be checking the chat rooms as much as I can. I want to make sure that you guys get the full experience. I don't want to shortchange you over there on Spreaker because you guys, we have more subscribers over on Spreaker than we do on YouTube. So thank you, Spreaker. Thumbs up for you guys for doing all that you do over there. All right. So a couple of things that I want to address at the top of the hour, even before the things that I have in the title of tonight's show. We are going to talk about Black Lives Matter Minneapolis briefly, and the Black Christmas and the shutdown at the airport, the shutdown at the Mall of America. We'll discuss those things. Then I'm also going to talk about Matt Bevin, the Kentucky governor. I didn't get a chance to get to R. Kelly last night because we got so enthralled in the conversation that I'm going to recap this evening. And so we'll talk about R. Kelly, and then I want to talk about Bernie Sanders's slam on Donald Trump, which I think was a great piece. I have the video and I want to play that. I think it's great to see. I love to see Bernie Sanders in fighting mode. And he really wasn't even combative in this one, right? He was just really playing the sarcasm card, and he was doing it very well. Bernie Sanders does sarcasm really, really well. So I want to go over all that. But let me make some clarifications. I don't even know if I will call them clarifications, but let me reiterate. That's what I want to say. I'm going to reiterate some of the things. Sorry, I got caught up in the chat room over there. Some of the things that I was saying last night. One person did ask for me to, someone did email me a very lengthy email, and it was a very good email, but it was lengthy. And they said that I should clarify what I was saying last night. And I think the conversation, sometimes we go so far into a conversation that it's easy to get lost in, or if you don't get the entire thing, you won't have the context of the beginning. But I want to make something very clear. When I say, first of all, let's start with Hillary Clinton. And the issue, where's my phone? I have to reach out behind me myself and get the phone in a minute, so I'll get it. But where's the best place to start? And I don't want to spend too much time because we did about 45 minutes solid, if not an hour solid, on this last night. But let's talk about this fighting fire with fire, not giving them an inch, not, never caving, take from them everything, that type of mentality. I think the context that you have to understand everything I say is from the perspective of, we can do this because we have the truth on our side. We can do this because the truth about what happens in America is so damning that we don't have to engage in lies or propaganda. That's first and foremost. And that's the standard by which I hold, the standard to which I hold myself on this show. So when I say don't give them an inch, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to operate the way they operate. But at the same time, we have to be smarter than their political games. And their political games has always, over the last 40 years, when I say they conservatives political games have continuously put progressives on the defensive for over 40 years, such that we have now in our party, we have a bunch of blue dog Democrats who are closer to the right-wing conservatives than they are true progressivism. And they are there. I think I didn't make this point clear. The reason we're even dealing with a Hillary Clinton, and in some measure Barack Obama, and definitely Bill Clinton, the last two Democratic presidents, and then the current frontrunner, the reason we're dealing with that super moderate center-right type of Democrat is because progressives have been on the retreat for 40 years, always fighting little fires and little skirmishes, always responding to conservatism instead of going on the offensive against conservatism. And I think the reason I made an issue of Donald Trump demanding Hillary Clinton apologize is because that is classic conservatism 101. I mean, that's classic narcissism, first of all. Classic, there's great sociopathy there, psychopathy. There's something wrong with Donald Trump. But it is also the type of tactic that Republicans and conservatives have been doing for a very, very long time. They have always kept conservatives have kept, as I try to overtalk my son who got out of his bed because he doesn't have to go to school tomorrow. Conservatives have always kept Democrats and progressives, forget the Democrats, progressivism on the retreat, on the defense, always trying to justify we have to constantly justify our economic ideologies and economic ideas when history has proven that our ideas are more solid. That's because we have always approached this from our desire to not be combative, our desire to work and listen to each other, and our desire to reach across the aisle. It's a natural propensity in progressives to be cooperative, and that it's our strength. But I'm gonna be honest with you, it's also our weakness. It is our strength and it is also our weakness, and we have to be mindful of that. So with Hillary Clinton, I'm not saying that anyone excuse her, depending on who depending on how deep you go into what she said. Some people call it a straight out lie, and then some people say that it was just a half truth at best. I don't care what you label it. We're not defending her lie. We're not defending her half truth. We're not defending her technique. What I am defending, and what I am saying adamantly, and I'll say it again and again and again, we will not apologize until they apologize for all of the lies that have been promulgated to the detriment of America and human society. I mean, the lies that they perpetuate about global warming, the lies that they perpetuated about Planned Parenthood. I mean, we as a fighting tactic, we will not, absolutely will not apologize and operate on their terms. More importantly than anything else, we will not allow the national conversation to be dictated by their demands. That is the key element. That's what I'm talking about. And so if we have to pivot, spin and pivot, we have to, whatever we have to do to keep them from controlling the national narrative and keep them from keeping us on the defensive, we need to do, because as a result of 40 years of successful propaganda and 40 years of successful offensive attacks from conservatives, we have been shifting further and further and further to the right, such that now we even have to discuss politicians who are so moderate right, like Hillary Clinton, because apparently Democrats have too many Democrats have given into the idea that the only way we can win is if we run someone who is moderate right leaning and not a true progressive. I mean, think about it. Really, really answer me this. When's the last time we had a true progressive Democrat in the White House? It's been a very, very long time. So no, we don't operate in lies. We don't defend her lie But I tell you what, we don't do. We don't give them an inch, and we don't give them the opportunity to dictate to us what the national conversation will be, especially for me, especially when the lies that they perpetuate and the lies that they promulgate, more than perpetuate, promulgate, are so detrimental. Anyway, so moving on. I'm sure there'll be some more questions and arguments about that, but that's my story and I'm sticking with it. Let's shift gears and talk about really quickly Black Lives Matter, Minneapolis, and Black Christmas. And before I do that, let me turn around and get my phone because I heard a couple of tweets come through. Yep. Live radio, live TV. That's what it is. Okay. Black Lives Matter, Minneapolis. They are, or they have, I believe that most of the action has shut down. There were protests in Minneapolis at the Mall of America. The biggest fights took place before in the courtroom, where the Mall of America, because it is private owned property, they attempted to get a restraining order on anyone connected to Black Lives Matter. And attempted to use trespassing laws to keep anyone from Black Lives Matter from coming on their property. The judge did not grant that restraining order across the board. What he did was he identified 3 particular leaders in Black Lives Matter and issued a restraining order saying that they could not come onto the Black Mall of America property. So that did not stop the remaining, I don't know, a few hundred people showed up to the Mall of America. At least from all the images I saw from Twitter, it looked like at least 100 plus 200, even probably more, that showed up to the Mall of America to shut it down on the biggest shopping day of the year. And Mall of America was equipped and ready with the police lined up like you would swear that Black Lives Matter was coming in with weapons. They were coming in with, I can't even think of the word, Molotov cocktails. You would think that Black Lives Matter was coming in there armed, which is not the case. But if you look at some of the images, and I wish I had some handy for you, and I'm sure I could find them, just images of the police lined up protecting the Mall of America from protest. If nothing else, it should tell you the importance with which not with which, but the importance that we place on our cash cow neoliberal economics. I mean, we really there. You have to see it to believe it. But it really was a very strong presentation from the police of a force that really looked. They were in riot gear at the mall for people who were there for a peaceful protest. So let's just put it like that. Riot gear in the mall, stacked 5 deep. I mean, it was really a sight to see. Now, the protest did not last long because Mall of America was prepared to shut down the mall, which they essentially did. Most of the stores closed down, and the protest at Mall of America lasted for about, they said about 15 minutes. So the Mall of America protest was very brief. Excuse me, I'm dealing with a bit of cold tonight. It was very brief, but immediately after the action at the Mall of America protest, they gathered and went to the airport, one of the largest airports in Minneapolis, and shut down the highway leading to the airport. Now, here's an important thing for me. I don't co-sign on things right away. I have to do my own research to find out what it was, what this particular action was. I am not one that's going to give a blanket pass to people I agree with just because I agree with them. Just like with everything else, I'm going to investigate and find out what they're protesting for. So I went to their website. I went to their press release on Facebook, and I'll read a portion of it to you. And then you maybe will understand what I'm going to say after that. Black Lives Matter statement. No business as usual. Black Xmas is here. Black Lives Matter chapters in Minneapolis, Los Angeles, New York, Washington, D.C., et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, okay, we got that. 2 days ago, a Texas grand jury announced their decision of no indictment in the death of Sandra Bland. This young, vibrant Black woman died in police custody after racially motivated stop, a brutal arrest, wrongful bail hearing, and an unlawful detention. We know Sandra Bland. They go through all the things with Sandra Bland. Let me get to the point of the protest. This is at the end of this paragraph. They say, we know that Sandra Bland could have been any one of us. So on December 23rd, one of the busiest days of the holiday season, Black communities across the United States are taking brave actions to impede the flow of goods and commerce with peaceful protests to call for an immediate overhaul of the justice system, both locally and nationally, that will demand accountability for police, removal of grand juries in cases involving police shootings, an immediate halt to militarized police units and weapons, an extensive review of racialized police practices in Black neighborhoods. Okay, so basically, the same reason Black Lives Matter has been protesting all along. What should I say? Sometimes you just shouldn't say anything. But let me say this. I'm on board with the Mall of America action. I am, because that represents a lot more than just a mall. It represents the economic zombification of America, right? I just made the hell out of that word up. It represents a whole lot. And I'm on board with it because it absolutely, exactly like they did in Chicago when they shut down the Magnificent Mile. If you want to get their attention, it's coming to me. If you want to get the attention of political leaders, mess with the economics, mess with their money. That has always been the strategy. Now, messing with the travel of, and I won't say innocent because no one's innocent in this game, messing with the travel of people is not as effective as messing with the money and commerce of an area. I want you to think about this. Shutting down an airport, one airport, has reverberations throughout the entire nation. The logical extreme of their action at the airport could have gotten very, very, very ugly. Not saying they shouldn't have done it. I'm just thinking to the logical extreme. It could have gotten really, really ugly because it becomes a federal action. It would have put if you want to get President Obama involved, shut down an airport, and then you'll get a chance to see where President Obama really stands. And maybe that would have been a really good thing. But I think the most effective way is always going to be economic, shutting down a mall, shutting down the stores, boycotting. Economic action is absolutely the way to go. But more importantly than all of that, I always stand behind this premise. What's the purpose of your action? And is your action strategic and going to move your agenda forward? And as I read the press release, I didn't see anything new attached to this particular action. Not that, the grand jury with Sandra Bland, unfortunately, I'm going to table that. Let's put that aside because we discussed that ad nauseum. But what I'm trying to say is there are some movements actually going on that need this physical help that Black Lives Matter took out in at the airport. There are some legislative actions going on that need this same help. And I personally, I need to see action tied to specific outcomes. And I guess with the action at the airport, I don't know. It is what it is. Whatever you guys think, I don't really. I applaud the action at the mall because I'm always for an economic boycott because of its efficacy, not for the sake of doing it, not just to get fame, not just to get notoriety, not just to be on TV, but because of its efficacy. We have seen throughout the civil rights movement and even through after the civil rights movement, if you want to get grip of your politicians, get a grip of their economy, and you can get the results you need, because what they're fighting for is noble, what they're fighting for is just, what they're fighting for is necessary. And I just want to make sure that as they fight, that they're fighting very strategically. And as you could tell, I haven't solidified my opinion on the airport action. You probably can tell which way I'm leaning, but I'm not there yet. So because I haven't solidified my opinion on it, I'm just going to move on and say I really do support what they did at the Mall of Americas. And I love the way it exposed how much we will go, how far we would go to defend economic commerce against political action. Because I don't think people realize that a lot of times the power structure, not a lot of times, all the power structure here is not designed to protect and serve the average American. It's here to protect and serve the economic powers that be and to maintain the flow of commerce. So when you start challenging the flow of commerce, you quickly get the attention of the powers that be. So here, applaud them for their action at the Mall of America. And I'll get back to you on their action at the airport, because the jury's still out on me, with me on that in particular. And I don't always have to have an opinion on everything. Moving on, Kentucky. This is what happens when you allow conservatism to get in power. In Kentucky, Matt Bevin, I believe is his name, Matt Bevin has rolled back. He has unleashed the full force of conservatism on the state of Kentucky, the state that is one of the most, the highest concentration of SNAP benefits, of food stamp benefits, some of the highest levels of poverty in the country, a state that is already struggling. He unleashed it even more with 3 executive orders. The first one, he cut the minimum wage by $3. And actually, I want to pull up this link because I want to make sure I say everything precisely. I don't want to misstate anything. So I'm pulling up the article. He also, in addition to cutting minimum wage by $3, he also he repealed the ability of ex-felons to vote. So with the signing of one executive order, he undid what the previous governor had done, what the previous governor did, and he rolled back, he took away their right to vote. There's only a handful of states, Florida, where I came from, is one of them, that does not allow convicted felons the right to vote. They are disenfranchised. Once you become convicted, you are now disenfranchised. You can no longer vote. In Kentucky, you could not vote until you had a personal appeal to the governor directly. And with this one action, he has disenfranchised over 140,000 voters that could vote, because that law had basically been amended by the previous governor's executive action. And so as soon as Matt Bevin got in office, the Tea Party darling, as soon as he got in office, he undid what the previous governor did and instantly disenfranchised about 140,000 Kentuckians. And to add salt to the wound, his other executive action that day included taking off, remember Kentucky, Kim Davis, the clerk, he removed the clerk's signature from marriage licenses and gave the clerk the authority to assign someone else to sign a marriage license, also that they would not have to sign the marriage license of a same-sex couple. Full conservatism on display. They don't want people to vote. They want to disenfranchise as many people as possible. They want to, I mean, seriously, who goes and says that it's a good thing that we cut the minimum wage? What's the justification for cutting the minimum wage? And then he rolls back the marriage certificates and the requirement that a clerk signs it. Also that Kim Davis and other evangelical fundamentalists don't have to affix their signature to a same-sex couple's license. This is what happens when conservatism gets in power, ladies and gentlemen. These are their goals, right? Look at this. They want to roll back the clock in terms of voting rights. They want to roll back the clock in terms of marriage equality, and they want to roll back the rights in terms of economic prosperity, except for the business owners, right? Because if you cut the minimum wage, then that does help. To some extent, it helps the business owners, but it crushes the people who depend on these low wage jobs, which is going to further exacerbate the number of people who are on SNAP benefits in the first place. So now you get this cluster F of forces where you have businesses paying people less, more people getting on welfare and food stamps, and now a bigger strain on the federal government food stamp programs and other type of safety net programs. So now they've passed the buck. Matt Bevin has passed the buck of responsibility from the business owners to provide a livable wage for their employees. They passed it from the business owners directly to the taxpayer. And that is the goal all along. I'm saying Matt Bevin. Let me make sure that's his first. Yeah, it's his first. That's the correct first and last name. What the hell did I just say? That's the correct first last. I knew his last name was Bevin. I wasn't sure about Matt, but I was right. Okay. That's the goal. The goal has always been to take the coffers, to take the money that the government collects from the people and send it over either directly or indirectly to businesses that claim to be operating in the free market. But you're not operating in the free market in a government regulation free market when you're benefiting from safety nets. Right? If businesses really wanted to benefit from the free market, what they would do would be to stop taking these indirect subsidies through welfare and pay their employees a livable wage. But Matt Bevin and the Tea Party and conservatives think that it's somehow economically viable and morally right to have a business pay people as little as possible and then get government programs to take care of them, all while vilifying those government programs. Because indirect subsidies is not enough. They actually want to shut down all the safety nets and shove that money directly, straight from the taxpayers, directly to the business owners. This is what happens when progressives don't show up to vote. There was a record low turnout in Kentucky for the election of the governor several months ago, and Matt Bevin won. And this is the result. There are real ramifications to whether or not we vote, and I don't think people realize that sometimes. Sometimes we get caught up on the feeling that 1 out of 1,000,000 votes is not going to make a difference. But there are real consequences. And then even worse than that, that's like the low-hanging fruit. Even worse than the idea that your vote may not count because of the numbers is this idea that you are somehow intellectually above the fray when you don't subscribe to politics, which happens to be one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. Because even if you don't subscribe and participate in the political system absolutely affects your life every single day. And now for 140,000 Kentuckians, they no longer have the right to vote because they elected or this governor was elected. And now for hundreds of thousands of Kentuckians who work for minimum wage, they've seen their minimum wage cut. And now, of course, the marriage equality thing, they can't see it's bad. What happened with the marriage equality thing was disgusting, but they can't stop gay marriage from taking place. But it's another attempt to chip away at the victories, at the progressive victories that have come lately and come throughout history. But they want to take from us inch by inch by inch by inch, which is why I firmly believe we can't give them a single inch. They'll run and take a mile. All right, let me take a look at some of this. Getting a lot of tweets here. Chris Carlson said, in regard to Black Lives Matter, stopping people from seeing their families is a quick way to get a lot of people to blanket unsupport a movement. You know what? I will applaud that. I don't disagree with that statement. I do not disagree with that statement. I'm not one I'm not generally concerned with the comfort and the convenience being interrupted. That doesn't normally bother me, but it needs to be tied to a very specific outcome. And I'm still, no, don't judge me on not having a fully formed and flushed out opinion on this. But for me, strategically, drastic times call for drastic measures, but you also have to have a particular outcome that you want. The outcome of just making people angry or making people uncomfortable is not always a productive outcome to get you towards your goals. I want you to hear me loudly and clearly as I circle back and give a little more commentary on Black Lives. If you're trying to get somewhere, then just stirring the hornet's nest is not always, sometimes it can be, but it's not always going to be the best way to move you towards your goal. So tell me how this moves you towards your goal, and I'll come out there and march with you. If there's a logical way to connect the action at the airport to your goals, then I'll come. Hell, let's shut it down. Let's all go. I absolutely know that shutting down a business, boycotting, shutting down the economic center of a region will bring politicians to you to make a change. It has been proven. So that's why I absolutely co-sign what happened at Mall of America, because it is an effective method. I don't know about the airport thing, so let me chew on that a little bit more. But thanks for that tweet. All right, that's Kentucky. Matt Bevin has really brought Christmas for conservatives and has brought misery for a lot of people. A lot of people. Do you know? I don't know how many of you listening to me have ever worked for minimum wage. I've worked for minimum wage, and taking three, I almost don't believe it. Let me double back, because I read the headline and I read the article, and now I almost don't even believe it anymore. Here it is. He also reversed former Governor Beshear's increase in the state minimum wage for government workers and contractors. The new wage was $10.10 an hour. Bevin brought that figure back to $7.25 per hour. It's there. So it's just a little less than $3, like $2.85 or something like that, whatever the math is. I mean, absolutely absurd. And it doesn't reach as far as I thought. It is only reaching government workers and contractors, but those government workers and contractors are absolutely going to have to get on, get more subsistence, some more support from the safety nets, which are going to be attacked next, right? His next target is going to be connect the healthcare system. The next target is going to be the SNAP, the access well, really, I don't know. I have to figure out if there's a way he can attack the amount of food stamps that come federally. I'm sure he can make it more difficult. At a minimum, he can make it more difficult. But this is the wet dream. This is the fantasy of so many conservatives. And it's very, very important that we realize their agenda. And it's very, very important that we never just sit out for the sake of sitting out. And we empower people who are just outright crazy. Outright crazy. All right, let me move on. What's next on my list here? Somewhere I have my list. Oh, R. Kelly. Let me talk about R. Kelly really briefly, because I didn't get a chance to talk about him last night. I did a video with Boyce Watkins for Your Black World, and we were discussing R. Kelly's interview on HuffPost Live, where I think everyone by now, if you're on social media and you're involved in politics, by now you've seen this video where the interviewer was pounding him with some legitimate questions, and he essentially said, "I'm not going to answer them," and he walked off the set. And throughout the video, he was making some comments that were rather condescending, that could easily been offensive, and the interviewer let it be known that this is offensive. I have a lot of mixed feelings about the interview itself. But let me just talk about R. Kelly. You know, he made a video demanding that, are suggesting that black people should buy his music because it's the man, it's the system who's trying to hold him back, and all. Essentially, that was the essence of it. No, R. Kelly, no. No, you don't. You have benefited. You of all people have benefited from this system very, very much so. You benefited financially, and you benefited from that financial strength, being able to get some favorable rulings when all the evidence pointed to the contrary. So I don't know why R. Kelly would come out thinking that the world was going to embrace him, particularly black people was going to embrace him when his track record in terms of how he has we just don't do child molesters, man. I'm sorry. That's the bottom line. You know, we don't do child molesters. And the thing that bothered me about the interview was that why did it take so long for someone to finally slam this dude? Like, and I kind of was offended by the interviewer, and I'll explain that later, but this particular thing is not her fault. Like, how many people have given him a pass? BET's giving him a pass, just lets him continue to promote his music and be this icon in the R&B world, all the while full knowing that he has a thing for little girls. So that kind of made me mad, in the sense of it finally somebody got it. But then here's the other thing that made me mad, and I'm done with this subject, because what made me mad about the R. Kelly interview was that we had an interview that was more intense for a musician that is completely irrelevant than we have for our political leaders. That makes me very, very upset. And again, this is not the interviewer's fault, right? I think that R. Kelly is low-hanging fruit. I think R. Kelly is an easy target, and he's a fool for even coming back in public, because he's an easy win. You don't mess up that interview. You get points all day because R. Kelly is such a nefarious character. I think it was low-hanging fruit, but you know, it is what it is. What I'm upset about is the fact that we don't even ask our politicians these types of questions. We don't grill our political leaders with that intensity. We don't hammer them until they either answer the question or they get off stage and go away. We don't. We have cakewalks for our political leaders. We have media outlets promising that we're going to take it easy and we're going to ask, you can improve our questions beforehand with our political leaders. And so we are excited. And you know what? More I think about it, it's not even the reporter. It is all of the media heads who are applauding her for giving such a dynamic and fierce interview. And I'm like, you people have the ability to do this every single day. And you have the ability to do it with people who actually matter. Who the hell cares about R. Kelly? He is no longer relevant. And he should have been smart enough to stay in the dredges of society and just stay back behind the scene, but he wasn't. And so it was an easy kill, headshot, pop, done. But who's going to do this with our political leaders, with issues that actually matter to millions of people? You know why? Because so long as you're relevant, corporate media will not hammer you with questions because they want you to come back. And so long as a political leader has another outlet that they can go to, and media outlets don't stand in solidarity, as long as they can go to Fox News and espouse all of the drivel that they want to espouse, then HuffPost Live or someone else has to play nice. This is why Meet the Press, they have to play nice because they want this politician to come back. This week with George Stephanopoulos, you know, he has to play nice if they want this. Even with Steve Inskeep from NPR, I was really I can't say disappointed, but it was really revealing the fact that Steve Inskeep, when his interview with Ted Cruz, could not or did not hammer Ted Cruz's assertion that he was more qualified to interpret NASA climate data because his parents were scientists. So Steve Inskeep took a soft glove to him and corrected him with a soft glove, but did not scratch that. But by the end of the interview, Ted Cruz's opinion reigned. And so I'm sitting back watching this interview with R. Kelly like, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed because R. Kelly is low-hanging fruit. We need this woman, this dynamic journalist, and forgive me, I don't know her name because the HuffPost videos that went around didn't share her name. So I don't know her name, but she did it. She's a dynamic interviewer. We need her and other people like her to do this with our political leaders so that we can actually confront the fact that many of our political leaders are just lying on things. Like, why do all of the other media heads in this media bubble, you know, all patting each other on the back because this interviewer hammered R. Kelly and nobody is out here hammering Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, just go across the board? That's because media, well, it's corporate media. All right. That's all I have to say about that. I feel like Forrest Gump tonight. Bernie Sanders on Donald Trump. I'm going to play this video for you as I clear my throat. This is Bernie Sanders on Donald Trump. This was awesome. I really like this. He does sarcasm well, but he says a lot that's important that I'm amazed that nobody else has brought out. And maybe I should stop being surprised. Maybe I need to stop being surprised that the media really is inept in a lot of ways. But this is Bernie Sanders on Donald Trump.
Well, I don't know if any of you have followed this in the TV or in the papers, but there's another new development, never-ending development from the Trump world. And I don't know how to break this to you. Donald Trump is very upset. It's very hard for him to deal with. I don't know what his relationship with women has been in his life, but he has discovered that women go to the bathroom. And it's been very upsetting for him. And this is what I quote. Now, I was there at the debate we had on Saturday night. But I got to be honest with you. Got to lay it out on the table. I also went to the bathroom. I know. I have to admit it. I guess I'm a man. Men are allowed to go to the bathroom, but
Exactly.
Women, what can we say?
Exactly.
This is the quote. I mean, this is the pathology. This is the guy who is leading in the Republican polls. This is what he said. Quote, I know where she went. It's disgusting. This is Hillary Clinton going to the bathroom. This is the issue. It's disgusting. I don't want to talk about it. No, it's too disgusting. Don't say it. It's disgusting. This is a guy who wants to be president of the United States.
I'm surprised that, well, no, first of all, a hat tip to Bernie Sanders for that, because I mean, it was, it doesn't surprise me what Donald Trump can get away with anymore, but it does surprise me what political observers, the media class, and just people in general allow him to get away with. It doesn't surprise me that Donald Trump says these things. Let me correct myself. It doesn't surprise me that he says these things. What surprises me is that people will let this man say anything. Everybody knew Hillary Clinton went to the bathroom. And here's another thing. Hats off to Bernie Sanders for using this as an opportunity to attack Donald Trump, but also just being a human being and addressing this issue, right? Everybody knew Hillary Clinton went to the restroom. My brain is working faster than my mouth tonight, folks. I'm stuttering over every other word. But the thing about it is, I'm surprised that Hillary Clinton's team did not put that in the writer, right? They should put that in the writer. She needs an extra amount of time in the restroom, and they should have passed the mic back to George Stephanopoulos before they came back to the stage, right? Come on, let's get professional, get that inside of the next writer, just because this should not be an issue. But the fact that Donald Trump made this such a disgusting thing and an issue for everyone, I'm like, seriously, is there anything this man can't say? I think that's the game we should play now, is that what can he say? What can't he say? I mean, at what point will it be too much? He has insulted, once again, women. He's been insulting women since Megyn Kelly, right? I'm not a fan of Megyn Kelly, but he's been attacking women since Megyn Kelly in this particular election cycle. He's attacked the handicapped. He's attacked black people. He's attacked he started off attacking Hispanics. So across the board, Donald Trump, there's really nothing this man can say. And I want to ask you guys, what do you think he can say to actually do too much, like to go too far for even his supporters to say enough's enough? I really tweet me what you think he could say, and somebody come up with a creative hashtag. I want to know what you think this guy can say to actually be enough. And I know this Hillary Clinton thing is so far from being the worst thing that he said, but it's Bernie Sanders hit the nail on the head, right? He did it beautifully, and I think he needs to hammer. I think Solomon was saying this last night. He needs to hammer Donald Trump more. Like, this is a good look for Bernie. I mean, he needs to slam Donald Trump every opportunity he can, and he needs to go with a lot of fierceness. Now, likewise, he needs to go after Hillary Clinton with the same ferocity. I want to see him go after Hillary Clinton with the same ferocity that he will go after Donald Trump. And I want him to go after Hillary Clinton with the same ferocity that Martin O'Malley went after her, because that's the only way these issues are really going to get flushed out and people really see the unique differences between the two campaigns, and that they are miles apart on some very, very important issues. So I applaud him for doing this with Donald Trump, but I also think that he needs to do the same thing with Hillary Clinton. It's not really a fight. I mean, it's not a fight if you don't fight. That's the point. That's not a fight if you don't fight. The primaries are always brutal, and they should be brutal. The primaries are always a bloodbath, and they should be. We're not talking about electing a caucus chair. We're talking about electing the president of the United States. And Bernie Sanders has a lot of integrity. He has a lot of respect. But I just want to see him go after Hillary Clinton the way he's doing Donald Trump right there. All right. Folks, the lines are open, 857-600-0518. And let me jump in the chat room. Just a heads up on next week. I do believe that next week I'm going to use the week to revamp and get some things organized for the new year. I'm building out progressivearmy.com myself, because I kind of do that a little bit for a living. And so I'm building out the website. I'm coordinating a lot of things, and I'm thinking it may be better served for the entire movement if I take some time off next week for the holidays, right? I won't be in tomorrow. Obviously, Christmas Eve. I want you guys to celebrate whatever you celebrate, whatever you do, however you do it and have a good time. Caller, you're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and or question?
Hey, Ben. I just have a comment tonight to Swill in New York.
What's going on?
I want to go back to what you were talking about with R. Kelly, and how the media, if you're irrelevant, then they will take pot shots right at you because they don't care if you come back or not. They're going for the easy kill. And if you're relevant, they treat you with kid gloves. And I just want you to do me a favor right now and hit the applause on your soundboard for what you said. Brilliant. That's all I had to say tonight.
Thanks, man.
Great
Appreciate
show.
the call. I'll hit it for myself. Thanks. I love what PJ. Thanks, man. I love what PJ said. This is the only thing. This is great. What Trump can't say. Run with that hashtag. What Trump can't say. All men and women of any race or religion or origin are created equally. If Donald Trump says that, he might drop in the polls. Here to PJ. PJ, that was a great one. Chris Carlson said flat out slurs he can't say. Patrick Blunt said if Trump were to come out with kill the I don't even want to say that on the air. Okay. You guys go see Patrick Blunt. I need a laugh track. If Trump were to come out and say, kill the Jewish people, even he couldn't survive that, he thinks. Iron Will said he can say whatever he wants to. They don't even think he believes it anyways, just speaks his mind. And then PJ also said, I support the Democratic Party. Heat 1611 says, if Trump says bring back slavery for blacks, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if he could get away with that. I mean, I don't know that would bring him down. I'm almost up here with PJ. If he asserts something positive, because everything he has said has been negative. So if he asserts something about equality and justice for all, I think that would backfire. Truth to Power. Truth to Power says on Twitter, yeah, I'm sorry. I applauded before I read it to you. Truth to Power on Twitter says, if he picks a Muslim VP, that's the only way he does. What Trump can't say, that his supporters would say. Heather. Okay, I'll read it. I'm already started. Heather says, I like it when my wife pulls my hair when we're having sex. What Trump can't say. Let me look over here. Hey, you guys are killing this. Let me read this next one that comes in. Let me read the chat room. What Trump can't say. What's the one thing he can't say and continue to get his support? Or what's the one thing that he'll say that his supporters will turn on him? And I love all these. If he picks a Muslim VP, he's done. He's dead on arrival. Okay, actually, I'm missing all the comments. I missed all the conversation tonight. Let's fun. Will in the chat room said, let's fund Planned Parenthood. What Trump can't say. Trump picking a pick with the KKK, picking a fight. Oh, taking a pic. Trump taking a picture with the KKK. I'm going to be honest with you. At this point, I don't know if that will shut him down. I don't know. Oh, gosh. Karen McLean wins the day. Carlene McLean, rather. What Trump can't say, Black Lives Matter. He can't say that. If Trump says Black Lives Matter, that's a wrap. I mean, that's pretty revealing. I'm going with that. I want you guys on Twitter. What Trump can't say. That's a great one. I love that. All right, folks. Enjoy your holiday. Whatever you do, however you celebrate, doesn't matter. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, all the other things. I don't even know all the holidays, but I kind of feel empty. I have 8 minutes and I think I'm done. I'm sure there's other things I could talk about, but why waste 8 minutes when I can go get a scotch and get the holiday started early? So I bid you adieu. I will next week on YouTube, I will be dropping short videos. I'm not going to be doing the broadcast at night. And on the podcast on Spreaker, I will drop some short little segments where I'm just, if something hits. Now, listen, if something hits the fan next week in the news, I reserve the right to just show up and do a show. But if not, you guys enjoy. I'm going to be building out the website for Progressive Army. We're going to have Progressive Army swag, coffee mugs, t-shirts, and hats. Because the logo is kind of fly, I designed it myself. It's pretty dope, but we want you to be a part of it. And at this point, I'm just rambling. So I'm going to find my closing music. Happy holidays to everyone at Spreaker. Bryce, thank you so much for always being over there with PJ in Spreaker. To all my regular callers, to all my new callers, Umar, I'm checking you out on Twitter. Happy holidays to all you guys. If I start naming names, I'm gonna get in trouble. But so many of you who support on a regular basis, to all my Patreons, to all my patrons, thank you so much. You guys are going to help build this Progressive Army. Couldn't do it without you. If you disagree with anything I said, I challenge you to write an article about it, and I'll publish it on theprogressivearmy.com. That's how we roll. I won't suppress your voice. I will amplify your voice if you disagree with anything I said, unless you're just an insane conservative. But if you're a conservative with a great counterpoint, I'll read your stuff. And if it's a really great counterpoint, I might even publish it. I just don't publish stupidity. And I'm really rambling at this point because I'm stalling trying to find my music. There it is. Holla at your boy.
The Benjamin Dixon Show. Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog, join the Progressive Army, and support The Benjamin Dixon Show.
Crazy mother.
If you like this episode, be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
Consider becoming a Patreon. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and support The Benjamin Dixon Show.